Just sit here.
Good morning. I'll call the Wright County Board meeting of December 29, 2015 to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair, just so you know, I'm not wearing a tie or anything today, and I promise that this is the last time this year I'll do that. I'll make sure,
It's casual.
no more.
It's casual.
That this year that I won't wear a tie.
Next time, bring a note from your mom.
You're not going to wear any more ties?
Not this year.
Okay, onward to the minutes of December 22nd. Any questions or corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second that.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Review and approval of agenda. Is there anything anybody wishes to add to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Hewsome to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Signed. Consent agenda. Is there anything anybody wishes to pull from the consent agenda for further discussion or consideration?
Mr. Chair, I will move the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Burrell to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any talk? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 9:05. Good morning, Mr. Heveloff.
Hey, good morning, Board. The first item on the agenda is to approve the October revenue expenditure budget report. Board, I sent you an email alerting you to some of the changes. In October, we did do a transfer and allocation of salaries, which included Road and Bridge and Human Services and the other departments. So you're going to see, compared to September, that wages and benefits go up in some of the departments, but in particular, 01100, you'll see a reduction in that placeholder that we have for the settlement, unallocated personnel services. Also in Department 100, you're going to see new line items called transfers to Road and Bridge and transfers to Human Services. So we did levy for those allocations as part of the general fund levy, so therefore we're going to transfer the funds to cover that from the general fund to Road and Bridge and Human Services. November is just about done, so I'll draw highlights in November if that's okay, but if you have any particular questions, I'll answer them now.
I guess I want to, we didn't actually levy for these. These are dollars that were left over as a surplus that we're transferring, correct?
Commissioner Swatsky, this is the allocation of wages and benefits. The next item on the agenda is the transfer of surplus.
Oh, okay, yeah, exactly. The wages and benefits we levied for, but okay, I think.
Right.
Okay, I misunderstood.
So if you want to approve the October revenue expenditure budget report.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Swatsky, second by Commissioner Delyden to approve the October revenue expenditure budget report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Board, the second item on the agenda is to approve a transfer from the general fund to the capital projects fund. You should have at the last board meeting approved the CIP, and then there are these projects that are to be funded by these transfers. We identified during the budget process that we needed to transfer money in to the capital projects fund to cover these. So today I'm presenting to you a motion. We're not going to do it by resolution, so I'm asking you to approve a motion to transfer $3,430,000 from the general fund to capital projects. We did it on a motion the last time. Again, this is to cover those projects that don't fit the calendar years and have been identified in the CIP process.
They could be stretched out over a number of years.
They could. Some of these projects do want to start earlier, so we need to transfer the funds. And we do have appropriate fund balance in the general fund to cover those.
I'll move that.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Houston to approve the transfer from the general fund to capital projects fund, the amount of $3,430,000. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to, for the public, one of the reasons we do this is to prevent people from buying stuff at the end of the year, and then having sitting on a shelf because we don't have the time or the manpower to implement a lot of the software and hardware and that sort of stuff, so.
And Commissioners, if I could echo Commissioner DeLayden's comment, these are the larger projects that, we don't want to buy a $100,000 item and delay it. So we want to time the expenditures as to when we can actually implement.
Yep, it's a much more efficient way of dealing with some of those big projects than we have done in the past.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Board, the third item on the agenda, we are about to move forward with U.S. Bank for our procurement cards. Now, in your board packet, you should have a red line copy of this policy. So I just want to draw your attention to the fact that you approved this procurement card policy back in November of last year. It has taken quite a while to kind of chip out all of the inconsistencies. Now that we selected our U.S. Bank as our vendor, we're able to fill in the blanks. I do want to identify the team that I have. I've got in my office Denise, who's not here, but I have Tammy and I have Janice, and then I have the two BAs from IT, Olga and Connie May. I've tasked them a lot this year to hammer this out. So in front of you is a revised procurement card policy. And part of this big revision is the fact that we chipped out what would be in the manual for the card holders themselves versus what is truly policy. So board, in front of you is a revised procurement card policy.
Mr. Chair. Bob, I have a question. So we're going with U.S. Bank right now. Let's say 2 years from now, Chase comes to you and makes a better offer. Do we need to come back and change this policy, or is the name of the bank set in policy? I guess that's what because I don't think that should be required.
Commissioners, the nice thing about identifying them in just the policy right here is replace it. We don't have to have you approve the manual again, but it's a simple search and replace.
Okay, so if you did change it 2 years, we wouldn't be a big deal. Then, so.
Well, again, I would work with Brian to see whether or not I'd have to bring that back up. But if we did, it would be a simple, hey, we replaced U.S. Bank with Chase.
Whatever. Okay.
And that's something, I'm hoping that we'll continuously look at that sort of stuff, and wherever the best deal is for the county is where we'll go.
Well, right now, Commissioners, just to refresh your memory, U.S. Bank, we are on the state contract, which is by far the best out there. So, and we will alert you that we will be starting rollout probably in February with the fuel cards replacement. So,
Okay. Now, have we got this all figured out with our purchasing as far as setting it up to make life simpler for the payables and that sort of stuff? I guess what I'm trying to figure out here how to say this. We're going to make it, this should make things much more efficient for purchasing items and less man hours instead of having to get purchase orders written and that sort of stuff.
Commissioner DeLine, I'm going to qualify that. There are efficiencies out there. We're going to empower the departments to purchase the things that they need to more easily. We're still going to have the same requirements for documentation and that workflow. I'm working with Lee as far as when would something still require a purchase order. Lee and I identified that we have a lot of standing POs out there that maybe could be done away with. There may be a way to modify this again to blend in the purchasing policy that we have from 1986, but that's something Lee and I need to work on. We may bring you a purchasing policy revision.
It hasn't been updated since 1986. Yeah, we probably should look at that.
But again,
probably a few things that have improved.
This is a mechanism to incur the debt, so this will stand alone. But Lee and I are going to figure out Could we modify this to include that part of the purchasing policy? Or do we adopt a purchasing policy that references this procurement card?
Yeah, and again, it should be a lot easier and less
It'll be-
employee
Yes.
requirements and it's for efficiency, because it's all going to be electronic now.
Right. Commissioners, my office will be issuing fewer checks. So that will be the efficiency on our side, but again, in lieu of that, we're assuming a certain responsibility to corral the cats. You're incurring expenses, we need you to approve them, we need the documentation, and we'll get US Bank paid.
And if we have issues, we'll deal with them as they show up.
Yep.
And I'm sure something will come up.
Bob, we have some 700 employees and I think 16 department heads. How many procurement cards do you envision being out there?
We have over 200 fuel cards out there, so I intend to issue fuel cards for the deputies. We don't want a deputy to carry a BP and a holiday and a car wash card, so we want them to carry one card.
And that one card will basically only authorize them to buy gasoline and car washes. If they were to try to acquire something else on there, it wouldn't allow it to do it?
We do want them to buy wiper blades if they can, but they're not allowed to buy cigarettes, sodas, pops, candy, that
I
kind
mean,
of
it will strictly limit the types of items they can buy, then this card will.
Commissioners, to the vendors who actually adhere to this, this process, which they detail those, we are going to limit that. But if they go to a mom and pop shop that doesn't adhere to this uploading of the detailed transactions, it could happen. But again, we have the compensating control that we need the receipts, so we're going to review them to make sure, hey, none of that was inappropriate. To the degree that we can, we are going to implement that safeguard. So Lee can't go to Golf Galaxy and buy anything.
Okay.
He's in the golf anyway.
Or O'Reilly's and buy clutches for his truck.
I just use the one that the vendor,
So basically, what we're looking at is this needs the department heads to make sure that the employees know what can and cannot be purchased with that, and people, they gotta sign, they gotta know. So if they do buy something that's not within the realm of reason, they'll know right off that they did wrong.
And they're going to have to get a receipt, too.
Correct.
Right.
correct.
These cards should make that more difficult than a standard credit card, because the whole idea of the procurement card is you can, as I understand it, authorize what sorts of things can be purchased and what sorts of things can't. So at many retail outfits, then I think what you're saying, Bob, is that if they wanted to get a candy bar, it wouldn't even be allowed to go on that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's all computerized now, so that's the advantage of it. And when you get a receipt, at a lot of the places, it's scanned in, so the receipt shows you what it was, instead of just the price.
Sure.
So it shows you wiper blades, or shows you
Yeah.
car wash, it shows you gasoline, gallons, and all that sort of stuff.
So not to take up too much time, but if that vendor doesn't submit that detailed information up to the credit card company, that controlling procedure won't be in place. But it is something we are asking US Bank to allow us to limit what can be used, what this procurement card could be used for. So we are going to do that.
And then are you going to limit different employees based upon what their position is, I assume? Deputies can buy gasoline, other employees are not necessarily going to be authorized to acquire gasoline, I'm presuming.
Correct. I mean, the department head is going to tell us what's the credit limit, what's the daily limit for each of these employees. We are going to have situations where a department's going to want a card just in the department's name. They don't want individuals. They want to have the controls in place to say, hey, give me the receipt, kind of like a check-in, check-out. We're going to have departments that are going to want employees to have the cards.
Mr. Chair, Bob, so let's say we have an employee, and I'll just throw out a department. I was going to pick on Steve, but I don't want to do that. So planning and zoning.
Well, you could have picked on Bob.
Yeah.
Pick on Bob's department.
There you go.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
But let's just say somebody in, planning and zoning is going on a thing to the annual conference for septic systems or whatever. Can they use their card for the plane ticket? Or would that be a department card that they would use? Because if they can use it for that, then they could use the one for going on the spring vacation, to Fort Lauderdale, and then it leaves it up to the department head to catch that. you know, to see if there was an unauthorized
Right.
plane ticket. Or the plane ticket included the wife or whatever. I mean,
Right.
what kind of safeguards do you have for that, I guess?
Well, I would think something like that should actually go through administration for that sort of things, you know, through regular purchasing.
I guess that's the question.
Not the procurement card for plane tickets or anything like
Yeah,
that.
because I would think, we want to come up with we must have a travel policy and that sort of stuff so that we have better controls over that, because we don't want people getting.
Out-of-state travel has to be approved by the
Yeah.
board.
Right. They
So-
come to
Wasn't some of
us.
that reimbursed after,
After.
is
In the past.
like plane tickets, is that reimbursed afterwards? Don't the employee buy them and reimburse them after the travel or not? Or hotel stays or something like that?
It could be.
I thought some of that was after the fact.
Some is.
Yeah, I wouldn't say all of it is.
Okay, I guess I thought maybe that was even actually our policy that we,
Every time I've done it's been after the fact.
Yeah, but you know,
maybe that's not our policy. I don't know, for some reason I thought it was,
for
but.
some of our.
Traditionally,
employees,
that is how we've operated, that we wouldn't reimburse the employee until after the event occurred.
But then, if they're at an event, and let's say they're, whatever, I'm trying to think something changed, or whether, well, of course I say weather delayed their flight, they're still gonna get their flight later, but if something came up where they had to spend some extra money at the conference, part of the idea of having the procurement card was so we didn't have to go through all the
Reimbursement.
reimbursement stuff, because that's where, that's where it's supposed to save us.
Right.
But then it's, you have to have safeguards, you know, and then like Commissioner Swatsky mentioned if they have a limit on the card, well, that's good for the run-of-the-mill average day, but when they go up on that conference and they're out of state, well, then they might need a higher limit to pay for the hotel or to
Commissioners,
do
at
something.
that point, you could say, you know, we're not allowing you to use the procurement card. You know, you have to use your own card. In this policy, you're gonna see that we're not allowing you to use the procurement card for meals. There's too many aberrations to the meal reimbursement, so we don't want you to use the procurement card for meals.
Okay.
It's a safer,
But,
avoid
and like,
the argument.
like the chair had mentioned, that we're probably going to see this back and do some fine tuning to it, I'm sure,
Yeah,
so.
we'll have a growing experience with this, so.
You may want to check the policy right now for travel and make sure that we're not doing anything here that's inconsistent with our reimbursement policy for travel. Because I kind of always thought that it was our policy that you got reimbursed after the fact, and in part that was to make sure people were, if they signed up for something,
really
they
went,
went.
yeah.
And if they didn't go, then we wouldn't want to pay for something that,
Right.
They didn't show up to.
for whatever reason, they didn't get on the plane because something else, you know what I mean? And
Correct.
So-
I've only been on the board 3 years, and every time it's been an after the fact. Here, present the receipts for reimbursement after.
so like I say, I thought that was actually what our policy said, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just how I understood sometimes it happens. But I would, if we're doing anything here that's inconsistent with our policy, I think we better correct them up and do that with our eyes open.
Well, Commissioners, and again, I'll echo, you know, we're not trying to be inconsistent, but we do want the deployment of this card. We want the utilization of this card as much as possible. There is a reward that comes back with us. We do have the subsequent review of every transaction. We do have the attestation by the employees that they understand that this card cannot be used for any personal use. I do believe that we did address the signing up for conferences and travel, that if you, at the last minute, can't go, you need to work with the department heads to get somebody to fill in your spot. I don't recall what we decided to do if ultimately you don't go and the county incurred an expense that's wasted. But that's something we can make sure that we're addressing.
Mr. Chair, one thing I did notice that, and I suspect we borrowed this language from somebody else, but the term county administrator is in there multiple times as opposed to county coordinator. So I don't know if we ought to change that. I don't know if Brian has a position on whether or not it's fine to leave county administrator, or if that ought to be corrected to coordinator. Okay, I'm fine with it if that's.
Board, if you prefer that, you know, we're gonna fill in the vendor name, the customer service number, you know, some of those things, Charlie, that are search and replaceable. If we're gonna fill those in, we could replace administrator with coordinator.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, and this is, you just want a simple motion for this then?
We already had the motion, didn't
No,
we?
we didn't.
No, this is the policy, so I need a motion
Oh,
to
okay.
approve the revised procurement card policy.
Mr. Chair, I'll
We
make
made
a
full
motion.
discussion before we made it.
It should limit the discussion. I'll make a motion that we approve the revised procurement policy.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Delyden, to approve the revised procurement policy. Any further discussion?
I noticed that on here, the requester county issued procurement card. For county issued procurement card for place X in the applicable box. Commissioner, department card, individual card, and employee ID number. Do we need to have commissioner on here?
Well, I mean, you are employees.
I know, but I don't,
Well, you could leave it, but, I
Yeah,
mean,
I guess,
I'm not going to ask for one, but.
No,
Uh,
I'll do the,
yeah, I don't see a
once in a
commissioner.
while when I travel, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way.
Well, we have travel, I mean mileage, travel, a hotel. I suppose theoretically, we'd be eligible for meals, although I don't know if anybody ever puts in for them or not, but, so I don't know if any of those, yeah, I don't know that we need one.
No, I don't
You know,
either.
for
We
the
don't have
rare
that many
circumstance,
contracts.
I think probably quite honestly, for the rare circumstances that we put in for reimbursements, it's probably better if we don't have one, we just use the old way, and that way there, nobody can allege anybody did anything with a procurement card because we
Yeah.
didn't have one.
Commissioners, you have a coordinator who could register you for your conferences using a credit card, so.
Yeah.
So we have that already, because it's
Right,
just
we already have that in
basically annual
place.
conference, and I do the DC fly-in, and that's it.
And you're,
Travel and
and
hotel.
Commissioners, just so you know, the Commissioner card isn't any different than the other card, so you're right, we could go with just departmental card or individual card.
Yeah, maybe that would be better.
I think,
Add, the administration office can have one that covers us, or like, we can just cover under
well,
theirs.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, like they do now.
we'll just use Lee's personal one.
Or Lee could ask for a separate one for you guys.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Carries.
Least
Commissioner, I just
personal
wanna
one has
acknowledge the
a
team.
higher
They-
limit, so at least personal one has a higher limit, so that'd probably be good.
Yeah,
He's got 3 kids now, he needs more.
I just want to acknowledge
Yeah.
the team, they put in a lot of hard work.
Yes.
A lot of reading, proofing, and yet you guys still caught a couple more things, so it's a beast.
I sat in on
It
one of
is.
them earlier with Olga, and that was a lot of work, definitely. Thank you.
what, working with Olga?
Oh, absolutely.
And in January, we are engaging our implementation team from US Bank, so the procurement cards are coming, so.
Okay.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for your
you.
work.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving on, items for consideration, mileage reimbursement rate for 2016, Coordinator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Every year we set the rate for the county business. We've been at 50 cents per mile for a number of years. The IRS rate has been different. This year they lowered it from the IRS rate of 57.5 in 2015 down to 54 cents starting as of 2016. So I guess I wouldn't make a recommendation one way or another, but I know we have been at 50 cents for multiple years. So we could either continue on that route or adapt the IRS rate.
Well, the nice thing about 50, it makes it easier for
Yeah.
Bob's office.
I think just leaving it at 50, we're
agree.
safe right there, so.
I think 50 is
So,
a fair.
I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion, we leave the mileage rate at 50 cents.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Delyden, to set the mileage reimbursement rate for 2016 at 50 cents a mile. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to point out, as a county, we can make it lower than the IRS rate. We cannot make it higher, and that's what we are doing with 50 cents. We're setting it lower than the IRS rate,
Which has been the case for
which has
many
been the case for a long, long time.
And we could make it higher, but there would be extreme bookkeeping associated with it.
Well, it would be a tax implication.
It'd be a tax-
It'd like
exactly right.
It would be an income then, so.
Yeah.
I think this is a good way to do it.
Just keep it there, it's not. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item B, schedule a committee of the whole, Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Coordinator Kelly again, thank you.
Thank you. We were contacted by, Sheriff's Office was contacted, and my office was contacted by Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Director Joe Kelly would like to come out and speak with the board, give a little overview. I believe we did something similar last year. Brief presentation. Thought it'd be easiest to do it at a committee of the whole. Two dates that were proposed were February 2nd or the 16th.
And both are on Tuesdays, so if nobody has anything, we could have that like at 10:30. How long do you anticipate this lasting?
1 hour is
1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, or even 11 in case we'd have more,
11?
yeah.
Yeah, if it's only an hour, that might be a better idea.
Okay.
Steve, you didn't have a preference on the 2 dates?
No, I asked that they, I asked the director if he would do it on a Tuesday, thinking that you guys are already here, it would be better, and that I said, give us some dates, and he gave us the 2nd and the 16th, so that's.
See, saving the taxpayers money again, thank you.
You're okay with either one?
Yeah, it's, and I cleared that with our administration too, so whichever one of those works, and then I'll let
Well, I don't know if we need a motion. Oh, I'll make a motion that we go with February 2nd as our primary. And if for some reason they've already booked up for February 2nd, that we do February 16th at 11 a.m.
I'll second that.
So that way, as soon as he finds out, we can get an email sent out to us to
Verifying
know
it.
which date for sure. But that way, if something had happened between when you talked to him and by the time we talked to him again, that February 2nd got booked up, at least we have an alternate date set up.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Glyden, second by Commissioner Houston to set the date of February 2nd with the alternate date being February 16th at 11 a.m. right here. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Advisory committees, advisory board updates. Commissioner Burrell, if you would, please.
Hang on 1 second here.
Uh-oh.
Took the dog to the dog groomer, is about it. So.
The dog ate your homework? Okay. Gotta love it.
Lee liked that one.
You really like that dog, don't you?
Did you watch Santa on NORAD too then? No, you didn't?
You could give the report on that. I didn't want to steal your thunder.
Commissioner Burrell, do you have anything?
No, I didn't. That was
Okay, Commissioner Glyden,
Nope. I got nothing.
how was it?
The weather was warm in Arkansas.
Really?
Yeah, they had some record warm weather. But no, it was nice.
Okay, all I have is yesterday morning was Great River Regional Library union negotiation. It was just a couple of things put forward from Ginger Thrasher from the AFSCME. We're going to have a meeting with in February, was it end of January, on a Friday morning to see if we can get it. We get 22nd and 29th, I believe, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Is that for the union of the?
Correct, and
Their contract is up when?
end of the year, isn't it?
In the 2015?
And I conferred with Commissioner Smolsky just to see, because he's been that before, to see if there's anything that stands out, and it seems like it's not going to be that difficult.
My best advice is take Frank's advice.
Yes, that's what we hired him for. Okay, that's it. Commissioner Smolsky.
Well, Chris and I had a mental health center board meeting last night, and we had a very favorable financial report.
We did.
And our new director comes on board February 1st.
And where is that director right now?
He's out southwest,
No, immediately. He's on vacation.
Oh.
Yeah.
on vacation right now, but yeah.
Right, yeah, he's from, yeah, so, it sounds like, and things have just been really moving in the right direction for the center for a number of months now, and it's great that the financial aspect of it is picking up and matching the positive movement that they've had, so.
And you were
Yeah.
blessed with good weather last night to get up there
Yes,
and back?
we actually made it up there and back without a snowstorm.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Since there's nothing else before the board, we are adjourned at 9:31. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.